it's Lauren here. A warning, this episode contains deep chats, lots of swear words, and some things you might find upsetting, but you know that we cannot help but overshare.
Are you ready for some oversharing?
Because oops, we did it again. You okay?
Welcome back to the latest episode of
Oops, we overshared again. I am Lauren.
And I'm Gemma. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, I'm not being funny. We fucking nailed it that time.
Literally, we
Could
actually
have taken 5.
We should just copy that and just repeat that every time.
Why don't we do that?
I mean, it would make life so much easier, wouldn't
Why do we go through that stress every single time?
Literally. So Lauren and I have been having a chat after watching the ever so popular Netflix show Selling Sunset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And talking about the, to be honest, unrealistic clothing choices that they consider to be office attire.
It's ramping up each time as well, which is where I think it's funny, because I didn't realize how much it had ramped up until I think it was Chriselle mentioned it on something of, because they were saying like, do you know what, I think it might have been on the reunion show actually, where I think what's his name, Tan, is his name, isn't it?
Yes.
Asked Chriselle, or asked them generally like about their work choices, and she was like, yeah, but go back to season 1 because he didn't look like that in season 1. And I think they've almost, obviously they're probably enjoying it as well, it's so much fun, they get sent all these incredible clothes and they get to wear them. But I think they've almost fallen victim to that women expectations, how I should look thing, in a very different capacity, how we're going to discuss today, because each time they're doing it, they're having to live up to, oh, let's make it even better and let's make it even crazier.
Yeah.
And so they've kind of got themselves caught in like a really vicious cycle as well. And it's interesting how that's happened, even though it is like super fun to watch.
No, it is absolutely. And do you know, the thing is though, I've worked in many sort of offices and corporate roles over the years, and I've always worn heels, skirts, dresses, you know, I've always dressed like business kind of dress. And I mean, as we were saying, after the Selling Sunset thing, and I then watched Selling Tampa, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
And was like, what? Like that seems more appropriate kind of business wear. But I never in a million years would have dreamt of rocking up in the kind of stuff that they wear on Selling Sunset in any kind of business capacity.
In any capacity.
Yeah, in any capacity, to be fair. Especially Christine, geez.
I would love 2 things. First of all, to have somewhere to wear some of the stuff that they wear.
Yeah.
You know, like when they go to like a lovely event and they wear a ball gown, like I'm all for that. I would love an occasion to like do that. I say that all the time. I get really annoyed that I can't just wear like really fancy dresses all the time.
Your birthday, you should have a ball.
I should have a ball because I am also Cinderella. The other thing, I don't clean, but other than that, the other thing, what was I saying? The first thing is that I
want somewhere to wear these fancy clothes.
Yeah. The other thing, hello Steve, is that
hi Steve.
Hiya.
You're on our podcast.
Ask him.
Ask me what?
He wants to know why you won't marry me.
You haven't earned it yet.
Did you hear it?
No.
You haven't earned it yet.
Haven't. Oh, Steve, come on. We know that's not true.
I've got to iron these shirts myself.
She don't do nothing in her house.
I even cook.
Ben does all the cooking. To be fair, he hasn't asked her either. But
no. Maybe I haven't earned it either.
Yeah. But she has been engaged like 5 times.
This is true.
And married once.
Yeah. And divorced.
And cancelled a wedding with the same bloke.
Yeah, true. We digress.
I can't even remember what I was saying anyway. No, I want somewhere to wear these things, but I also would like to yeah, no, I don't know.
Okay, no, that's absolutely fine.
I'm determined to have the point, but let's just not.
So we'll come back to that one. So after Lauren and I were talking, I stumbled across something on ASOS, I think it was, to start with, whereby they've got like a workwear section. And the stuff that they claim to be workwear is a bit out there. So maybe it's not that Selling Sunset are a bit out there, but actually maybe we've just got very outdated views of what is office appropriate.
Or have we got more out there with office because of Selling Sunset?
I mean, who knows? We are going to share some pictures of what we found, aren't we, on the Instagram page?
Yeah, I mean, I've never been able, by the way, to be super, super fancy at work because when I was a wedding planner, we were stood all day and I used to work 13-hour shifts. So I was never able to be, I mean, I wore a nice dress, but I had to wear flats. Right. When I was a teacher, we weren't allowed anything that was remotely low cut or really above the knees.
Yeah.
I did occasionally wear heels, but more boots. And now this is what I wear to work. So it's like, I don't, for audio listeners, I'm wearing jeans and a t-shirt. So
on the hottest day ever, crazy woman.
I can't be bothered to shave my legs.
So why didn't you shave your legs to get them out?
Because I can't do it. I'd love to be more chill about it, but I'm just not.
Literally, I do not give a shit.
I really can't do it. It makes me so self-conscious. I know it shouldn't matter, but
but how long are the hairs?
Not super. To be fair, I probably could get away with it today, but I
at an absolute maximum shave my legs once a week.
Oh, I haven't shaved them for about 4.
Yeah, but you're only at home. Who cares? I get my underarms waxed, so they're always like, you know, quite long. But you can't really see them because they're very fine now. But it freaks my mum out. My mum's like the kind of person that shaves every day.
Yeah.
Without fail. And there's me with like, you know, walking around looking like Chewy.
I very rarely wear like short sleeve stuff, like, do you know what I mean, like proper short sleeve stuff, so I can usually get away without. But again,
Lauren, I just don't give a shit.
I do, that's the problem. I don't for myself. I just get like, I will let it grow forever and I wouldn't care if Steve's seeing it. Although he did point out today, I was walking around in my pants, he was like, what the hell is that going down your leg? I was like, they're my pubes. Leave me alone.
You were.
Well, I think he was just making a point of like, seriously.
The thing is though, with that,
I'm on my period and it's hurting and I don't need to shave.
Literally. You'll know when I'm shaving, Steve. The thing is though, don't you feel, and it's the same when we watch things like, for example, Selling Sunset, you know, there's these women in these ridiculously skyscrapery heels, these short skirts, these really restrictive clothes, and then you got Brett and Jason literally in like jeans and a polo and trainers.
Mm-hmm. It is very intense, and don't get me wrong, they look incredible, and I would be like, I wish I could walk around in those heels every day. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wish I could do that in those heels, and I wish I could look that fancy every day. But I also love that. I was gonna say I love that I don't, and I do love that I don't. 9 times out of 10, I would love occasions to look like that, but I also wouldn't want to have to look like that every single day.
But why is it that women have these, I think, quite unrealistic standards that we set ourselves? Like the fact that it is literally 34 degrees today and you are sat in a pair of jeans because you don't want to get your legs out because they're hairy.
And because they're pale as well, to be fair. It's a double edge as well.
Right. Whereas, you know, you really, why? When I bet Steve don't give a shit getting his legs out. I bet they're well hairy.
Mm. Although weirdly, not on his calves.
Well,
doesn't have any at all.
Okay.
They're like smoother than mine when I shave. It's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
But no, you're right, and it is very double standard ish. I think it's really hard because obviously Selling Sunset, using our example, has got a bit of a weird it's made it obviously a name for itself in the sense that, let's be honest, I'm not saying that they're not good at what they do, but the agency isn't built off their ability. It's built off the way that they look and that they're all incredibly pretty in different and unique ways. Like there's somebody in there for everybody that anybody would find incredibly attractive.
Yeah, but if you looked on their actual website,
no.
So obviously you've got the agents that we know from the Oppenheim group, from Selling Sunset. If you actually look on their website, there's loads of people that aren't featured.
But is it because they're less generally attractive, like in, you know, normal terms?
They're either men, or I mean, maybe they're not as attractive. I don't know, but it's quite funny because I think, again, with things like that, it's you're not just selling a house, you're selling a lifestyle.
Yes.
And that's what sales is to a very large degree, in that you're not, you know, same as, even, to be honest, like with what you do, you're not just selling. Oh, okay, go on then. I'll shut up.
No, I was no, and it only clicked with me just as it did with you as well. Just then I had it like, when you watch this back, you'll see I just literally went like, oh shit. But yeah, that is exactly what I do as well. Like, to an extent, I sell lifestyle, a very different lifestyle, but I sell you can work from home and be chill every single day. You can nip out to lunch. I worked in Starbucks this morning. You can do you know what I mean? You can do whatever the fuck you want, basically. Like that's my brand. Like that can become your business as well if you want it to be. So yeah, I think that you're right. They are selling that luxury, that that kind of like almost unattainable wealth and image.
Because as well, like
imperfection.
I must be honest, I do watch Selling Sunset and think, oh, man, I want to lose about 10 stone and have all this money to buy all these designer shoes and bags and trot about literally looking like a supermodel.
And age-wise, they don't have age. Like, they just don't age.
They have Botox and fillers.
Age doesn't seem to be a factor in their lives. It seems that they may be vampires.
And you say that though, but then don't you find that they Ben just shut the door because Elliot's just come upstairs. I feel that when you look at them all, they all look about the same age, even though some of them are quite a lot younger and some of them are quite a lot older. They all look about like 30, don't they? But some of them are in their 20s and some of them are in their 40s.
But some of them, like, I really wouldn't know. Like Heather, I always thought she was younger than she is.
But Emma, I feel that Emma looks a lot older than she is.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. And obviously Chriselle looks a lot younger than she is.
Yeah.
They definitely.
And Mary, you wouldn't look at Mary and think she's got like a 20-odd-year-old son.
No, true. I think you're right. I think again, it's that if beauty standard I'm talking here when I say all of these things, like about being attractive or being whatever, but it's that thing as well of in order to be attractive, you don't age, right? And they don't age. So they're selling, they are literally selling like what we as society, or that what as a standard as society we would say is the ideal and the perfect way to be.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But
it just still pisses me off how there is such a double standard.
Do you find it, or have you found it before? Because you say, like, as somebody that's always worn heels at work and things like that, is that something that you feel pressure to do? I know you enjoy it as well, but is it something you've ever felt pressured to do?
I don't bloody enjoy it, Lauren. My feet kill.
Does it not make you feel good though?
I haven't always worn heels consistently. Like when I used to work, one of the jobs I used to do, where I was sort of going in and out of businesses and people's houses and things like that with quoting security systems, it was very difficult to wear heels in those scenarios because obviously people don't want you clonking around their house in a pair of heels. I think, it does make you feel a bit more like you got your shit together, I suppose, really. And I definitely feel it makes you feel a bit more powerful, but it's still not even just in a work setting, but like going out. Like if you go to a wedding, for example, which is probably a better example, or a christening, or some like sort of event, formal wear event like that. And I mean, we went to one not that long ago, and I had this beautiful dress on, and I love this dress, and I've worn it a few times. It's not comfortable, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's quite fitted, it's very formal looking. And I wore it with a pair of black, like barely there heels, you know what I mean? Like with the little strap across. It looked really nice. My feet were bloody killing me. And there's Ben in a suit. He's got a trousers and a shirt on. All right, granted, they're not going to be as comfortable as if he was in like joggers and a t-shirt, say. And his flat shoes. And I just sort of think to myself, it doesn't, to me, it doesn't feel socially acceptable for me to rock up in not trainers, he wasn't wearing trainers, but like flat comfortable shoes, because even like flat shoes, like formal shoes for women, are not comfortable. Like you can't really wear socks with them, for example.
No they're not.
That's the kind of thing that I find quite double standardy.
I guess I'm in like a contradictory place where I both agree with you and think you're right, and I think it is definitely a standard, but then I'm also in a place where I'm like, I love going to weddings and things because I very rarely get to wear heels and get to, do you know what I mean? So it's like
it is definitely like, I'm with you on that though. I do like getting dressed up, and I feel good when I'm dressed up and when I'm wearing heels and all the rest of it. But who is it that made the rule that it's women that have to wear heels and not men?
I mean, I think you know the answer to that question, or I would assume the answer to that question.
But that's the thing, isn't it? And you know, actually, and I have some very expensive shoes. I've got loads and loads of heels. My shoe collection is very vast, and I wanted for years. I wanted a pair of Louboutin shoes, right? And I am fortunate enough to have a few pairs, but do you know something that absolutely cracks me up? And they are the most uncomfortable shoes I've ever owned or worn in my life. Literally, they cripple you. Well, they do me. I've got quite wide feet, though, to be fair. Anyway, he actually said, like the guy, Christian Louboutin himself, actually said that basically he makes his shoes to be uncomfortable because, you know, like pain is beauty.
There's a lot in the I mean, I don't know what it is with heels, but there's a lot in the origins of everything of like, let's just make life more difficult for women. Like, that's just a fact. Like, I didn't know until that flipping advert that's on TV right now about that's why women don't have pockets and things, because they wanted us to be as like unprepared as possible, things that we could take out with us. And it's that's just like obviously how it has always been and how it remains because of that. But I also learned the other day as well, by the way, that, you know, like how men's and women's shirts button the opposite way to each other.
I did not know that. No.
Oh, did you not? So I can't remember which way around it is without looking at something that I own. But basically, what way around is it? I think how I would button something. I don't have anything near me. But basically, either women have like buttons down the left and the holes on the right, or the other way around, I can't remember, and men have it the opposite.
Why?
Because we couldn't dress ourselves. So we used to have to get people to dress us because we're just not capable. Okay. And it's easier to do it the men's way. So they put them on the opposite side for us so that the man or the person that was dressing us could do it easier because we weren't capable of doing it ourselves. Whereas men got dressed themselves, so the buttons are done a different way. So if you look at one of your shirts after this and look at one of Ben's shirts, you'll see the buttons are on the opposite sides, and Ben's are easier than yours.
I want to go and test this theory right now.
Oh, it's on absolutely literally everything, Gem. You won't find a single thing without it. And the reason I realise it is if I ever put on something that's of Steve's, because the zip's the same, zip's on the wrong side as well. If you use something of somebody else's, you're like, why can't I do this? And it's because it feels unnatural to us because we've been so used to doing it the wrong way around, and it is the wrong way around for us.
Is that?
But yeah, it's because we couldn't dress ourselves, so they had to put it on the opposite side so somebody else could dress us.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Mind-blowing. But I guess it's the same with just like makeup, I guess, isn't it? Like, I feel better. I feel I don't wear makeup every day. I work from home. I don't wear makeup every day. I didn't even when I went to work. But I definitely feel more prepared for the day and more like my day has started on the days that I put on makeup. But I also don't like that I'm expected to. And even though nobody's ever told me that I could, I feel weird not at a nice event or something.
No, absolutely. That's the thing. And to be honest, that is exactly kind of where I'm going with this, in that I like getting dressed up. I love wearing nice shoes. I like getting nice dresses on. I like having my hair done. I like makeup. I like all that. I really do. But it just frustrates me that it's the double standard. I don't actually think it's quite... I don't think it's quite as bad anymore as, you know, women have to spend hours getting ready, men just roll out of bed and off they go. Because I think a lot of men now do take their grooming quite seriously and, you know, whatever have you. But I just, I think
it's also more acceptable now as fashion to wear jogging bottoms and to wear trainers and like all of that stuff as well, which makes, I think, our life a bit easier. Like I would have no problem going. I mean, I wouldn't want to go anywhere really nice, but I would have no problem like going to Starbucks or whatever in a pair of joggers and trainers anymore. Whereas I would have had it not been part of like now just like what a lot of people do. So I think that's made it a bit easier, especially just like nipping to the shop.
See, I've got it too ingrained in me though. I still wouldn't do that.
See, I'd still put on makeup.
Yeah.
If I was going to Starbucks, but I would wear joggers. But then I'm also the person, and I haven't always been like this. I wasn't when I was a teenager, definitely not. But or even in my early 20s. But I'm definitely, I don't generally give a fuck in like day-to-day stuff. I do more in like going to a wedding, going somewhere nice. Like
yeah. No, I'm with you. I don't need to wear makeup to leave the house and stuff like that.
I don't. And I mean, I've been to the club in my pajamas before. Like, I really don't give a fuck. Steve will quite often be like, not in like a judgmental rude way, but he'd be like, are you wearing that? Because he's like looking at it going, it's got like, is that what you're wearing? And I'm like, absolutely, yeah, I'll just put a coat on.
Get your coat, love, you pulled.
There you go.
But I do think that is it. It is very much like that. We do put this, but I feel that we put this pressure on ourselves.
Yeah, I agree. I think we do as well. I think we do. And I think we now, the people that make decisions now, even if there are more women doing that, and in some of the businesses that we're talking about with clothing and things like that, they are now making those decisions to continue it as well. So it's like it's like a vicious but then it's also a lot of give the people what they want. If these clothes were going up and no one was buying them, they wouldn't put them up.
But then the thing is, you know, maybe these are the kind of things that people wear in an office.
Well, shall we have a look at them?
Wedding dress, crop tops, you name it.
I mean, I think you've got more than me, but I just want to, first of all, I mean,
I sent them to you, I think.
Oh, okay. So this top that some of these probably repeats as well of what you sent me because I haven't actually looked at them. So this top, for example, like it's just a blouse, but then it's just like the low cut nature of it, to wear it to work. I can't imagine a scenario where that would be acceptable.
I take your shirt and I raise you.
Yeah, a really low cut crop top probably is not the one. We should probably talk through what these are as well, Gemma, actually.
Right, so I'm showing Lauren a creamy long sleeve shirt, very low cut crop top. I mean, we're going to share a picture of these.
I mean, it's effectively a bra with long sleeves.
Literally.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a black blouse here, but it's just like the V-neck goes down to the belly button. Like, it's just, there's nothing wrong with wearing this stuff. It's just not work attire. It just
this was on ASOS, Boohoo, somewhere like that, as workwear.
And even just like the length of some of the skirts, like the really short skirts and things like that. And it's like, I have no problem with people wearing this stuff. In fact, I've got one top hanging on my rail next to me, and I'm just going to grab it for you really quickly. This is completely unplanned. It's just that I happened to have this out the other day. This is a top I bought not that long ago. And it is the epitome of like low cut, proper, do you know what I mean? Like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not by any means saying don't wear this stuff.
Especially with boobs like yours, get them out.
But it's also, I do. But it's also it's like, it's not that people shouldn't wear these things to work. It's that actually you'd probably be in trouble if you did wear them to work as well, because it's very double standardy of wear this thing to work. This is what we expect, But actually, if I went to work in any of the jobs that I've had, in some of those things that we've just shown, I would have been pulled aside. So how do you win? So this top, for example, you can't really tell. It's a thingy, whatever they're called, bodysuit top thing. But the thing goes virtually, like there's the waist. It goes virtually down to the belly button. It's also see-through, and you have to wear like tape and stuff underneath it, because otherwise you get like full nipple.
So how are you going to style this?
I'm just gonna wear it with a pair of jeans.
Nice. With no bra.
You can't wear a bra with it. The bra strap would come across about here.
Jesus.
It's really, really low. So it's like, it's not the don't wear these things. In fact, wear them wherever the hell you want. Like that's half the issue, isn't it? But it's the expectation that this is like normal for work attire. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And do you know what I think
wouldn't go down well?
No, it wouldn't. But do you know as well, like we're talking about this now, and it just kind of makes me think. So when I was like 17, 18, that sort of age, I worked in recruitment, and I was 18. Yeah, I hadn't long turned 18. And I remember like I used to go out. There was a Dorothy Perkins, and I used to go there and get a lot of my work clothes. And I had these a few items I do remember. I had, do you remember those like shirt jumper mixing things? So it was like a top, and it looked like it had a collar.
Yeah.
I had like this red top, and it had this red like chain looking shirt, silky shirt thing. Anyway, I loved it. That, and I had some other like nice tops and things. I thought I looked the bee's knees. I used to wear heels every day. I felt like such a grown up, right? And I never forget, one of the older men pulled me aside. I mean, in hindsight now, there should have been HR involved, and what he did was completely and utterly inappropriate. He basically pulled me to one side and told me that I needed to stop wearing such low-cut, revealing things, because I have got big boobs. I have always had big boobs. And I just remember feeling so uncomfortable, because he basically told me that, and he was old, man. He must have been like, I mean, I was 18. He must have been knocking on 60. Like, and he essentially told me that I was causing him to be aroused, and that wasn't fair on him.
Well, that's just, I was going to say, that's such a problem in itself, just in that, like, that whole thing of you're the problem. That's
literally right. Like, and
or act a certain way.
But I think that's the other thing, isn't it? You know, like where you say about people just wear what they want. And I think things are getting better at that now. But definitely when I was younger, like it's very much been the, you know, it's very much been the, oh, well, if you're wearing something like you're asking for it.
And there is still an element of that, don't get me wrong. Everybody's very much not that until somebody gets hurt, and then they go, oh well, she was doing this.
Exactly.
and it's like sometimes, don't get me wrong, people make stupid decisions. People shouldn't be walking home at 3 o'clock in the morning by themselves, but I mean, they should be allowed to, but we also as a society know that we can't. I get that, like, not the smartest move. However, I've never met a single woman that's not made a stupid choice at some point in her life where she could have been in a situation where it's been harmful. And like, all of us have. I've walked home from nights out. On mine and Steve's first date, he picked me up from my flat. Like, there are so many, and I'd never met him before because we met online. Like, there are so many scenarios that we find ourselves in where something could have happened.
Yeah.
And you cannot blame that on what time it was, what they were wearing. Don't get me wrong. There are obvious things that it would be safer for us not to do. But equally, it's not to blame. We're not to blame for that person's actions, thoughts, feelings, anything. They are to blame for those things. period.
No, absolutely. The thing is as well, though, I feel like definitely for me, that then I have carried that my entire adult life of being very conscious, not wearing anything too low cut, not wearing anything too like in a work setting. Like when I go out on a night out, even actually, I'm saying that, you know, that picture I showed you, I think that's actually in the previous episode. Yeah, it was. Me in that polka dot dress. I said to you I was about 25, right? So I used to love that dress. And it was part of I'm just going to show you it again. Yeah, it was part of a range that, what was her name? Kelly Brook. Do you remember her? Mm-hmm. She did a range for New Look, right? And that was part of the range. Now, I don't know if you can see from that picture, I'm wearing a vest top underneath. And it's because I didn't want it to be too revealing, because I didn't want to give anyone the wrong idea. And again, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like this double standards all the time. Like, oh, well, I've got big boobs, so I have to keep them under wraps, because otherwise I'm going to give someone the wrong idea and I don't want to get raped, essentially. Mm-hmm. And, or, you know, I don't want to give someone the wrong idea that I'm like, you know, a bit of a slut, and I don't want them to think of me not as girlfriend material or whatever. Or I don't want to give this guy the wrong impression at work and distract him from his work because I have large breasts. And I reckon that can't just be me that feels like that. You know, that's got to be so many other people that feel or have experienced that or felt like that before. But I wonder how many men have ever felt that what they're wearing could have such adverse reaction.
I think two things about men in a second, but first of all, I've got a friend, Jess, who again I have spoken about before on here. She wouldn't mind me saying this, when we were at sixth form, she got followed home one day by a man. It was a whole thing. Police ended up around her house and all sorts. But basically this wasn't him objectifying her. I mean, he was obviously not okay in his actions, but it wasn't him objectifying her for something she was wearing, but she objectified herself for something she was wearing after this incident. So he followed her home and was being really creepy, was talking to her the whole way home. Was a lot old, it was like probably mid-30s. And we were 16, and she was alone, she was scared, all of that stuff. But he made a comment to her about how he liked her coat, and she had on this bright red, like postbox red, like Mac kind of coat.
Yeah.
And she absolutely loved it. It was from Select, and she'd had a part-time job there, so she used to get like employee discount. Absolutely the one. And she absolutely loved this coat. She never ever wore that coat ever again, because she associated the fact that she was wearing a bright colour with the fact that she'd drawn attention to herself. And so it was her fault this man followed her home and like all this stuff. And it just like, we make something out of, I think sometimes it's a safety thing for us, right? Because in a way, I mean, when that poor woman was murdered not long ago, can you remember what that was? That
the policeman that did it.
Was it that one? Yeah, where there was she was just out for a run everywhere. It was written, I don't know if it was that one or if it was the one.
No, she went out, didn't she? Went around her friend's house, and then she went home after, and he stopped her because he said it was under COVID, something or another.
Yeah,
and then
I think it was a different one.
Was it?
Yeah, there was one not long ago, but anyway.
How sad is it that we're having to sit here and differentiate between what woman it was? But yeah.
Tell me about it. There was a hashtag or something that was going around going, she was just out for a run. And it got really mixed results or mixed feedback, because it was like, she was just out for a run and she shouldn't have been killed. But then it was also the thing of like, yeah, but why does it matter what she was doing? Like, she shouldn't have been murdered if she was walking home at 3 o'clock in the morning. Right. But my point is, because it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I think, when this happened, this one.
Right.
And I get it. She shouldn't have been, like, obviously nothing should happen to you at any time of the day. But I think as women, sometimes we associate certain things with danger, like going out in the middle of the night by ourselves, like wearing a low cut top, like doing all these things. Because if we have these things, we're able to keep ourselves safe, because we don't wear a low cut top. We don't go out in the middle of the night by ourselves. We don't do these things, right? Whereas when somebody gets murdered at 4 o'clock in the afternoon going for a run, shit, now that's scary. Because what do we do now? We don't go out ever by ourselves. We don't do anything. And sometimes I think we use those things sometimes almost to our advantage and almost play on them, because it then makes us not vulnerable when we stay inside that little comfort zone. Does that make sense?
No, it does. But then do you find as well, you know, on the flip side of that, I remember going, like, when I used to go out, I would gauge how good I looked on what kind of attention I got.
Oh,
and
100%. And
even like, well, I remember being at school, so like 14, 15, and me and my friends would be walking home, and men, grown-ass men in like lorries and vans and whatever, would honk at us and say things. Now I'm like, you're like a 30-year-old man honking at a 14-year-old. Like, what the fuck? But again, it's like, I know they call it, is it called being heckled or something now? I don't know. But
it might be.
At the time, it was like, oh, take it as a compliment. Like, that means you're
100%.
looking good. But
100%.
and it's so, I think it's such a double-edged sword, isn't it? That it's like, we give so much power to them. They tell us we're looking good. Our lives are in their hands, because if they decide we're looking too good, we could end up raped and murdered. But if we don't get any attention, then does that mean we look disgusting and then we're not attractive enough? It's like, you need to be just the right amount of attractive, which is just so fucked up.
I mean, I think we need to be the right amount of everything.
I would make you right there.
Did that make sense?
It did. No, it did. Because like, we need to be the right amount of, you know, wife material, the right amount of mother material, the right amount of still working, the right amount. Absolutely, we have to be the right amount of everything. I think you summed that up very beautifully.
I mean, I think that is the thing. I think it's an issue, and obviously it's an issue, like we could go into this for freaking hours, like I'm sure, about all the different standards and everything, and how we play into them and how we don't play into them, and how like all of it is like such a big and complicated problem without like a simple answer. But that's the problem, right? There is no obvious answer of how we do anything about it other than recognize it.
But I think it's getting better. I do think it's getting better. I mean, you don't I don't hear oi oi get your tits out shouted at people now.
But is that because you're older?
No, not at me. I mean,
no, but
in general,
generally speaking, honestly, I only say that because I've heard comments before about women feeling older because they don't get shouted at in the street anymore.
Yeah, maybe.
And that's how they know they've aged, because they don't get the same.
I don't know if like perhaps it's because, I don't know. Yeah, maybe then.
Maybe. I don't mean that, but I genuinely
maybe we should ask the question, you know, do you still get heckled?
And if so,
do you still get wolf whistled? If not, do you miss it? If you do, how do you feel about it?
One of those things that I think when you're a teenager, even, it's absolutely cool if you're with people. If you're by yourself, it isn't cool.
So scary.
It's like one of those things where then something gets a little bit, now I'm a little bit scared. I've got so good at talking to myself on the phone, like pretending I'm on the phone.
Do you know what we had? I was probably young, like secondary school, 13. And there was absolute uproar because a girl was raped. So they sat us all down, called all the girls into an assembly, and they gave us these tips, and I remember them to this day. And that is, if you feel someone's following you, turn around, look them square in the eye and ask them what the time is, because they're less. And this, honestly, I remember, I might be a bit older than 13, but either way, I was so scared because they were sitting us down and giving us these tips, and they were saying, like, you know, these could save your life. And you're like, what? So after that, every time I walk, and even, I'll be honest, even a bit now, if I'm ever on my own with a man, I always feel a little bit unnerved. And yeah, ask them what the time is, because they're less likely to attack you if you've got a good visual of their face. If someone grabs you, just basically go absolutely ape shit, start screaming and shouting, waving your arms and legs about, because again, if they think you're going to put up a big fight, they might not bother. And another one was to tell them that you're on your period. Like, that is the life-saving advice, guys. Given to me about 20 years ago.
I mean, worth shot. I think
So basically, when I'm on my own, I run around with my arms and legs asking people for the time because I'm on my period.
It's those, you know, when I was at university, there was somebody going around raping students, and of both my university and the one down the street, and eventually there was an attempted murder as well, and it was so scary. And I remember walking behind a girl at some point and accidentally crept up behind her, and I've never seen someone look so scared in her life. And it was the middle of the day. It was awful. But also, I remember watching something with Steve once, and this is, I think, where the problem lies. And it's not out of being cruel, but I just generally think the understanding is not there amongst men, because they don't deal with it every single day. And we don't realise how much we do every single day to keep ourselves safe, that we don't even like logically calculate. That there was a man on an undercover police show, and he was being followed for an hour, and he was breaking the law. And he did not realise he was being followed by an undercover police car. And I said to Steve, if that had been a woman, even if we hadn't broken the law, so didn't already have a guilty conscience, or like currently breaking the law, may I say, he was trafficking drugs, I would have noticed that somebody was following me for more than 10 minutes. Because we are conscious of it. We notice, we turn down different ways if it seems to be going on for too long. We just are very aware of it.
I'll make you right with that, yeah.
And he didn't get that, and that's where I think there's a problem, because it's very hard for them to connect the dots of what we do every fucking day. That's where it's hard.
Because even actually when I was younger, when I started driving, I was always told, if you get pulled over and you're on your own and you're in a secluded place, drive to somewhere
absolutely
crowded before you get out.
It's that's
but it's these things that, like you say, that we have that drilled into us
and
from a very young age, and you don't even question it, you don't even think of it twice. But like you say, they won't have that thought process. Perhaps
I think the only thing we can do is keep talking about it and try and build that awareness, and that's it. And use your rape tips.
Well, you know, period. What's the time? I'm on my period.
Oh, well, that is us for today anyway. We hope that you've enjoyed this. It was a bit of a deeper chat, but an important chat.
Off light.
It was an important chat nevertheless, and
you're
getting mixed around here, you know that by now.
So, you know, for more great tips and deep conversations,
check in with us next time. We've got a good episode next time. I think after this one should be our Dear Deirdre. So if you've got any advice, questions, anything that you need advice on at all, please send them to us on Instagram. Oops, we overshared again. We would love to hear them. We would love to feature you. They will be anonymous, do not worry. And yeah, thank you so much for listening and watching. Goodbye.
Goodbye.